My name is Gracie O'Reilly, and this is my case study 3 for SPCE 683, Section 805. The date is November 3rd, 2024. Jumping right into an overview of this case study, we will discuss developing tactics for training staff to competently perform assessment and intervention procedures, learn about performance monitoring, feedback, and reinforcement systems for staff, develop a functional assessment approach to identify variables affecting personal performance, and determine what function-based strategies to improve personal performance. And these are task list items I4, I5, I6, and I7. Beginning with task list item I4, Tactics for Training Staff, it's very important that assessment and intervention procedures are being implemented correctly, and there are a number of ways to help ensure this. Providing a clear description of all assessment and intervention procedures is required, as well as additional support to back those descriptions. For example, for assessments, providing a staff member with their own copy of the domains to be assessed, as well as detailed procedures detailing how to conduct the assessment, which may be included in the assessment or created by the supervisor. So some sort of hard copy that can be referred to. Modeling is definitely a must so that supervisees can see the assessment or intervention being implemented and better be able to replicate that. Of course, we want ongoing supervision to ensure competency in the supervisee assessing or intervening. Before allowing the staff member to conduct the assessment or intervention procedures without direct supervision, they need to be supervised prior to ensure the competency is there. Always having an open form of communication is necessary as well to ensure staff members feel comfortable coming to their supervisors with any questions or concerns. Moving on to task list item I5, Performance Monitoring. To obtain valid data and ensure treatment integrity, behavior technicians should demonstrate competency in operational definitions of behaviors, noting inter-response times or IRTs of those behaviors, which are often included in those operational definitions. They also need to be competent in consequence procedures for behaviors, often included in behavior intervention plans or BIPs. Moving on, they need to be competent in program procedures as well, which contains multiple different elements. For example, antecedent strategies, such as sanitizing the environment, the discriminative stimulus, or SD, prompt levels to be utilized, error correction procedures, as well as reinforcement schedules. Behavior technicians need to be competent in data measurements recorded as well. We can look into this deeper to ensure data is being measured accurately by doing inter-observer agreement or IOA data periodically during supervision. So that would allow us to see if the behavior technicians are recording everything they need to be recording in the correct way. So whether that would be percentage correct, frequency, etc. Trial counts are also important to consider, and when looking at trial counts, we want to consider the goal of the program. For example, if a goal is for the client to demonstrate 85% accuracy across 3 consecutive days, will the percentages yield from the trial count be telling as to how close or far the client is from mastering that goal? Lower trial counts yield higher variability, so we want to get as many trial counts or as high of a trial count as we can to get a more accurate percentage within each program target. We also want to consider other factors throughout the session that may impact trial count and be considerate of that, such as maladaptive behaviors that may go on for a long duration or may cause the client to not be in a calm, relaxed, and engaged state to be able to complete those programs or even have them presented. Continuing on with task list item I5, regarding the feedback section of it. Before giving feedback, we want to ask our supervisee their preferred form of feedback that they are most receptive to. When giving feedback, we want to provide it in the moment or soon after occurrences in the session that are notable. This can be consequentially or proactively as an antecedent strategy. As supervisors, we want to record feedback given so that the supervisor has notes that they could refer back to, as well as the supervisee. We want to ensure the entire team of technicians working with the client is notified of any feedback given that is necessary to know. For example, if any changes in intervention was stated, absolute do's or do nots, etc. Feedback should be reinforcement-based primarily, and we want to always highlight positives throughout the session. When suggesting a change in the behavior technician's behavior, we want to frame that type of feedback to where reinforcement is still given immediately before or after the suggested change is stated. We want to set clear expectations and make sure that those are heard and understood, and ask the supervisee if they have any other questions or need clarification on feedback given before supervision comes to an end. All while giving this feedback, we want to maintain a positive tone, or at least neutral in that case. Continuing on with task list item I5 once again, specifically in regards to reinforcement systems for staff. There are many ways to provide reinforcement to staff members. Some can be providing incentives with criteria needed for those incentives, scheduling times to provide reinforcement, and providing some sort of open platform in which reinforcement can be given or received at any time or to each individual's convenience. Going back to providing incentives with criteria needed to reach those incentives, an example of that can be a supervisor giving reinforcement tickets that include small notes from highlighted behaviors the supervisee engaged in. At the end of every month, a ticket is drawn and points are awarded to the employee on a team app or otherwise that can later be exchanged for apparel, gift cards, etc. The more tickets you earn from being a model behavior technician, the higher the chances your ticket will be pulled, yielding an award. For scheduling times to provide reinforcement, team meetings are a great time to do this. Supervisors can routinely start each meeting off, leaving the floor open for anyone to give shout-outs, for an example. Regarding providing some sort of open platform in which reinforcement can be given or received, this can be seen, for example, having a social media application where shout-outs can be given, points can be awarded, etc., or having a bulletin board up with note cards in which anyone can write on those note cards and shout anyone else out and post it at their own convenience and on their own time. Moving on to task list item I6, which is identifying variables affecting personnel performance, functional assessment approach. There are many different sources that can be utilized in doing this. One of those is the performance diagnostic checklist from the Human Services, which helps to identify areas of concern, assess the need for further interviews with other stakeholders regarding the issues at hand, as well as provide potential interventions for those issues. The task enjoyment motivation protocol is also another source that can be utilized. This primarily includes participative management, so staff can have a say in important decisions, the delegation of tasks, and overall it can increase staff enjoyment of their occupation, as well as ensure everyone is aware of their role to avoid interpersonal conflict. That point is just an added note for something that needs to be done to ensure that there are no power struggles or imbalances of power and that everyone is overall on the same page. The temp can also modify non-preferred tasks, which is removing aversive stimuli and adding more preferred stimuli to increase the overall enjoyment at the workplace. And of course, the use of functional assessment interviews, or FAIs, is another source to be utilized to identify variables affecting personnel performance. Finally, we are going to be moving on to task list item I7, which is functional-based strategies to improve personnel performance. Going off of FAIs that were previously mentioned, we can use those results to identify the function of an employee's behavior and then attempt to replace those undesired behaviors with something of the same function. For lack of a better example, if an employee is late to work many days due to stopping for a coffee at Dunkin' Donuts, perhaps a reasonable incentive towards on-time behavior can be a Dunkin' Donuts gift card so that they can still access that coffee in a more feasible manner. Thank you for viewing my case study 3. In conclusion, we went over tactics for training staff to competently perform assessment and intervention procedures, learned about performance monitoring, feedback, and reinforcement systems for staff, developed functional assessment approaches to identify variables affecting personnel performance, and determine what function-based strategies to improve personnel performance can be, which are task list items I4 through I7. Thank you.